I'm building cash. I'm taking advantage of the market. I'm flipping houses. Short term, you could actually make money by doing wholesaling. Okay, but the thing about the wholesaling, it does work. But you got to ask yourself, like, if you got a wholesaler that got a property under contract for $60,000, right? And you can see all this stuff because a lot of these properties are in the system. You can always pull them up and look at them. So if he's got it in the contract for $60,000, he's trying to flip it to you for $75,000. He's got a $15,000 margin on it, right? But he's got to flip it fast. He's got to flip it to a cash buyer or somebody that's got the cash to go to settlement quick. Because what happens with the wholesale division contract, let's say May 1, you get the contract, and the bank says, okay, fine, we'll take 60. And then they usually give you 30 days, and most wholesalers try to ask for 60-day settlement. You know, the more time they got, the more they could run around and try to flip this contract, right? But banks have gotten smart. They're like, you know what? We'll give you 30 days. And so now, wholesalers, you can see, okay, well, he got this contract on May the 1. So, okay, he's running around trying to sell this thing. I usually wait till 5 days. I'm like, hey, you still got that property? He's like, yeah. I said, I'll give you $62,000 for it. Because the thing is, at this time, they got it offloaded. They got to get rid of it. And most of these wholesalers usually put a deposit down, either $500, $1,000, $2,000 earnest money deposit. So they don't want to lose their $2,000. So if they could make $2,000 from me, you know, originally they're trying to make $15,000, and they know I'm a serious buyer, right? And they'll be like, fine, I'll get rid of it for you. Now buy the contract from them, go to settlement, and then I'll fix it up and I'll sell it. But so there's wholesalers out there. It does work, but it's risky. And the banks have gotten really smart on it. And the banks are making a real, like this last year, I went to settlement on yesterday on Friday. Man, the bank asked for my articles of incorporation, my LLC documents, well, if I was the only member, if I was this, where's the funds coming from? Show me your bank statements. How'd you get this money? How'd you get that money? I mean, they want to know what the hell's going on. They're not really just taking offers from anybody because they don't want to waste their time either. They want these things gone. They want to go to settlement because they got more and more properties coming, right? So imagine if you're an asset manager sitting at Wells Fargo or Bank of America, right? You got 50, 60 cases of properties, and then you have Doug. He's working at Remax. Okay, so your goal is to get rid of your cases, and Doug says, "Hey, I'm going to move 20 of your properties for you." So now his name is online because he's trying to build a relationship with you. Because the more listings he get, the more money he makes. So he has to go around finding investors like me, right? So he's got to get these things turning because if you give him a property in May and here's 8 months later, he's still sitting on it, hasn't bought you any buyers, are you going to keep messing with him? Right? Because asset managers get paid on bonuses. The more cases they get rid of, the more they make. It's that whole Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers, all that. It's the same mentality. I mean, these are bankers. They're driven by bonuses and commissions, bonuses and commissions, bonuses and commissions. And they want people with cash. Right? If you're working at Lomas, at let's say Goldman Sachs, you got a guy with $50 million, and you know he's going to take 100 properties off your plate. Or you got somebody over here he wants one, and he may close in 30 days. How you going to spend your time? Right? So all these things you got to kind of think about how all this stuff happens. Like this happens, like if you look under status, it says foreclosure, yes. Like this is a foreclosure property. So when it comes back to short term, right? Either you could wholesale, or you could buy it, you could add value to it, and then get rid of it. But when you do that, I think I went over these numbers with you guys before when you guys were here. You got to know the house. You got to know what you're buying. Right? You got to know your exit. You got to know where you're going to get out at. And you got to know what you're going to put into it in order to know where you're going to buy that. Right? So you got to know the numbers. You got to know the neighborhood. You gotta know what kind of deal you get into, what are things selling for that neighborhood, what has already sold, when did it sell, how long did it take to sell, what did the seller give up? Did he give up 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 to sell that property? So all these things you gotta look at, because that's gonna have a direct impact on your numbers. So in this whole business, man, numbers are like key. I mean, numbers are very important. So the more you understand on how the asset managers think, how the realtors think, you know, how everybody's getting paid, the incentives, the better you can control the game. All right? This whole thing is just a game. But you just gotta understand the rules to the game. That makes sense? Any questions? You guys can ask questions, I don't care. I don't want to just sit here and talk all day. Alright, so okay, so with this property, so where you at now? Flips, okay. So 8 to 13 weeks. Again, I don't try to get into projects that's gonna take me 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. I don't get into those long-term projects. Because I'm looking at making 50, 70, 80,000 every 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Right? So you gotta look at volume. Some people want to do 2, 3, 4 deals a year, and they're happy with that. Well, that's cool for them. I want to do 100. I want to do 200. You know, I'm looking at the larger picture here. So how do you make one formula and make it multiply 10 times, 20 times? Right? So it's about having systems and processes and things in place and the right folks in place to be able to do that. So when I'm looking at properties, I'm looking at the budget. I'm looking at the profit. I'm looking at how long it's going to take me to get in and get out. Get in and get out. So that's short term. And again, it goes back to like knowing your area, knowing your exit. You got to know your exit first before you get into it. Knowing your cost that you're going to put into it. And once you do 2, 3, you know, you kind of get your feet out there, start looking at more of these properties and start getting on Zillow and Google and start just looking. You'll see what all this stuff will start connecting. It'll all just start to connect like he said that. Right? So this is kind of in your book. This kind of goes back with what we were talking about on the board here. So if you buy something for like $66,000, you know, whenever you buy something, you on the front end, you're gonna have closing costs from settlement attorneys, taxes, county taxes, state taxes. You're gonna have fees like that. So you gotta take all these key fees into like what is your actual investment in this deal. Right? So if you look at all your fees, you got $66,000 you're buying it for. You got closing cost fees $1,500. You got your rehab cost $25,000. So your total investment in this deal is $92,500. Right? This is a cash deal. There's no hard money fees involved here. So let's say on the back end you're gonna get rid of this property at $175. Well, you gotta pay a real estate commission. You gotta buy, agent on the buy side, agent on the sell side, and then with your taxes and your recordation, your attorney fees and your title abstract, all that, that's about 2% normally. So you add that on there and you deduct your $10,500, you deduct your $4,300, and then anything less than 12 months, the IRS is going to consider that as a short-term profit gain. And the IRS is going to hit you with at least, depends on your income category, they can hit you with a 35% fee on that. So anything less than 12 months, anything more than 12 months considered long-term hold. And then your tax bracket goes down to 12 to 17%. Right? So then you take your money out of there, then let's say your total investment that went into it, you got $44,000. So you end up getting your $44,000 plus your cost that you put into it. So you end up getting back like 100 and 44 plus 66, like 8,000 that you end up getting back. But this is a cash deal. Now if you had, let's say, a hard money guy or a private money guy, and you went and borrowed money from this guy here, he says, okay, I'll give you $100,000 to buy this house. But he's going to end up charging you at least 16% interest rate, or maybe like 4 points or 5 points, because it's his cash he's giving you, right? So then that's what a lot of hard money guys do. So when I'm dealing with the hard money guy, I usually take about 10% of the cost. So if I'm buying this for $66,000, I'm gonna take 10% and add it to that 66, because that fee's gonna go to the hard money guy, right? So depending if you're using cash, the cash deals are always easy if they're clean. You got less people involved. I mean, you could track it a lot easier. And with the hard money guys and the private money guys, you really got to be careful, because their contracts they'll get you by both nuts. I mean, they'll get you. You know, you sign a confession judgment, you sign personal guarantees, you sign everything in there. If that house doesn't sell, they're gonna give you 6 months. You got 6 months to buy it, rehab it, fix it up, market it, and get it sold, and get the money back to them. You got 6 months. So again, it's very important where you buy that. Because if you end up buying a house where there's like 30 houses already on the market for sale, and then you become number 31, that 6 months is going to shrink. Right? If you go to a neighborhood where there's no houses on the market for sale, and you're the only one where that house is going to sell, and you're going to meet your deadline. So know the area where you're buying things at. So when you're driving through an area, count. Let's say here's 1, 2. You count how many houses are for sale. You can see the signs. Right? You drive around the block, go around the neighborhood. And if you only see 2 or 3, that's a good neighborhood. That's a stable neighborhood. Right? So look at the neighborhoods before you buy stuff and analyzing things like that. So Chanel's pushing me on. Every time she changes the button, that means I gotta keep moving. All right, so does that any questions on short term? You sure? Yeah. And then we'll do when we go through this neighborhood, I'm gonna give this to you so you follow me. But drive through the neighborhood, count, like look at people's yards. Are they taking care of the yards? You know, is there a bunch of trash everywhere? You know, how many houses are for sale? Are there any boarded up properties? Are there abandoned properties? All these things are going to have an impact on your property, because it's the same stuff the buyers are going to see when they drive the same road to look at your house. So you got to think always like, okay, what is the buyer going to see? Right? So once you finish it up and you put your 50, 60,000 into it, you make it beautiful. You got granite, you got stainless steel, you got everything in there. But if the buyer's driving to your house, they see a crackhead over here, they see this, they see that. Is your house going to sell? I don't think so. I mean, like, you know what happened? I got a contract on 1264 Penn Street. You know what Penn Street is? Down over there by Trinidad, off of Mount Olive, off of Blainburg, New York Avenue. I mean, it's not the, best area, but it's a good area. It's up and coming. So I got a contract on it. And they must have put this contract on during the daytime. So there was a home inspection contingency on there. Okay? Because most people put home inspection or appraisal contingencies or financial.